Hey guys, it's Tom. I'm here with my friends Luke and Avery. Luke, say hi to everyone.
Hey, how's it going?
And Avery.
Hi, everyone.
And you good?
Yeah, no, just letting people know that I am sick, so my voice is a little messed up. I apologize for that. You probably won't know because hopefully you've never heard my voice before, so you don't know the difference. But for future reference.
All six of you.
Yep.
Yeah, no kidding. But anyway, guys, it's New Year 2016, so we can look back on 2015. And for this video, we're going to give you guys our picks for our top 10 movies of 2015. So just overall, guys, thoughts on 2015 as a movie year?
Well, heading into this year, I knew it was going to be the biggest year for blockbusters ever. 2 months before 2015 was starting, 2015 was scheduled to have roughly 60 blockbusters coming out, which was a big threat for the movie industry heading into it because no one was sure they'd all be able to make their money back. But they've moved those around, and I think obviously through Jurassic World and Star Wars and the like, we'd say it was a great year for blockbusters. I don't know about the film industry as a whole, though.
Yeah, I was just about to say, like, when I think of 2015, the word that comes to my mind is franchise. Like, we had a lot of franchise entries. We had Jurassic Park, Star Wars, James Bond, Hunger Games, and even Terminator, but that won't make any of our lists, I'm sure.
Avery, what about you?
I was going to say, when I think of 2015, I think of Paul Blart Mall Cop 2.
So it was a pretty year for movies, according to Avery.
We did have a lot of crap. I mean, stuff that
we really did.
And but that won't be in
it
this
was the
video.
first time I ever publicly cursed at a movie in a theater.
That was for
Terminator Genesis. At the end of it, I stood up and yelled "F you" straight to the screen.
And people applauded, right?
They did. That was the only time I ever heard that in the theater.
Wow. Okay. Well, now we're gonna cleanse our palates.
Let's get down into it, guys.
Yeah. So let's get down into it. All right. Our top 10. So we'll start at number 10. Luke, why don't you go first? What is your pick for number 10?
My pick for number 10. A little bit early on in the year. I was a little shocked that I put it this low on my list, but here it is. Ex Machina. This is the first movie that I saw with Donald Gleason in it. I had gone into this knowing that Oscar Isaac was going to be a very big f***ing thing. I think by then it was already announced that he was going to be Apocalypse, and that by then, I think around the time this movie came out, it was announced this character's name was Poe Dameron in
Star Wars.
Yeah.
I think he'd already finished by the time it came out, but this movie, for me, between this and Star Wars, it sort of cements the idea for me that Oscar Isaac is the new Harrison Ford, because he went from being an indie darling to he's a genuine movie star now.
Yeah, no kidding.
I feel like this year made him and it made Dominic Gleeson kind of.
Yeah,
not to the same extent, but
it's Donald Gleason.
Donald Gleason.
Actually, I looked that up.
Yeah, well, it's hard to tell.
I'm gonna keep saying that wrong for years.
Yeah, you probably are, and then he's gonna punch you in your face.
Yeah.
But yeah, good point. This year, we're really, I think those two really exploded.
Yeah, they really
because
did.
That, like you said, they were in a lot of movies this year.
I mean, the only reason it's so low on my list is because the themes of the movie were sort of way too familiar. I mean, if you had seen RoboCop or 2001: A Space Odyssey, you'd already touched on the idea of what makes a man, what makes a machine, etc. But it was still a really great movie.
Quick question: did you see Inside Llewyn Davis?
I did. I really, really enjoyed it, but it was a great character study for me, but little else.
But the reason I'm getting is that was the first time I ever took Oscar Isaac.
Yeah, me too.
I also saw him in this year. I don't think it actually came out this year. I finally saw The Most Violent Year.
Yeah,
I heard that was. It came out at the beginning of this year, though. Wide release.
I heard it was just.
It's fine. He's good at it.
Yeah, that's the same thing. I heard it was just okay. Just
real slow, and not a lot happens.
I was listening to Dan Harmon's podcast, and he said he was watching that with his wife at the time, and his wife halfway through the movie just broke down and said, "God, just give them their Oscars so they can stop."
Watching it with my grandparents, and we're trying to figure out when the movie started.
Oh my god!
Avery, your pick for number 10.
I'm gonna go with Mission Impossible, man. Mission Impossible.
Rogue Nation?
Ghost Nation 2.
Yeah, he's been saying that. It's Ghost Nation and Rogue Protocol.
Yep.
So, all right. So, what did you like most about Rogue Nation?
It's a real good spy movie in the 60s sort of adventure spy sense.
And
It's not as good as the one before, Ghost Protocol, but
Yeah.
it's still pretty good. I feel like if I had more indie films, this is why it's number 10. But I still think it knows what it's trying to do, and it does a good job doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely not even the best stunts, but definitely a very interesting movie. Nonetheless, in the franchise,
Mission Impossible got good.
Yeah, it's been sort of good, but I mean, can you tell me the plot of that movie?
Rogue Nation.
What's the plot of Rogue Nation?
There's an evil organization, and Tom Cruise is gonna get him.
Okay.
There we go. That's
Yeah.
It's got the same plot as Spectre, somewhat.
Yeah.
in a sense.
I really wanted it to do. I knew they were never going to do this, but going into that, I wanted it to be because I knew they're going to go after this one sort of evil entity. Because right before that came out, it was announced that he was leaving the Church of Scientology. I really wanted. Yeah, he left it
I didn't know
early
that.
this
I didn't
year.
know that either.
Yeah. I really wanted there to be a meta narrative going on where the evil agency is basically Scientology.
That would
So
be
is it
hilarious.
just Travolta?
Right now, I think it's just Travolta. Yeah. Well, there's a few others.
Possibly
But
Smith.
those are the two big ones. Those are the only two big ones I know of.
If the rumor is true, I think Will Smith.
Yeah.
But anyway,
People's religion aside, Tommy, what's your number 10?
My number 10 pick is another action film. You may be surprised it's this low on my list. It's Mad Max: Fury Road.
Yeah.
And believe me, I've only seen it once, and it's one of those cases where I really did like it, but it's one of those things like as of right now, I can only see myself watching it maybe one more time. But I feel like after that time, I want to watch it again and again. And I just happen to like 9 more movies like one of this. But Mad Max: Fury Road, I'm sure y'all get to this later. But for me, I just loved the practicality of it. I saw it in 3D, and my eyes were like bleeding, not literally, of course. And there was so much stuff going on, and it was really exciting. And I left the theater. I just went total just wow. So that's my pick for number 10. Mad Max.
Interesting thing for me about Mad Max is that all the things you think would be CG are not, and all the things that you would think would be just practical are not.
And the
like there's no hills, there's no fucking mountains, they're just a desert. And they add that in.
Yeah, and
weird.
And the two things that I will add to that is that one, I even told Avery this. I said, I almost would have been okay with them just taking out the dialogue entirely in that movie because like there's only like 100 lines in that movie. Like there's not a lot of dialogue
for Max, for sure.
Yeah, but I'm just saying like because the action was so visceral, I could have easily just watched the movie of just that.
Yeah.
And the second thing I will say is, and this is kind of a funny note, George Miller is like 70 years old. He's the guy who directed Happy Feet, and he's still doing a better action movie than most action movies of this decade.
Eat your fucking heart out, Zack Snyder.
Like,
now, because like George Miller was supposed to do a Justice League movie.
Really?
Yeah, like back in the early 2000s or something.
Everyone else.
Yeah,
basically.
Well, I mean, that was the only official like Justice League movie that was about to be given a go.
Okay.
And George Miller was slated to direct it.
Was the Affleck thing never official?
The Affleck thing was no. I mean, like Affleck is in the new movie.
Yeah.
Like he was never involved in DC before this. He was involved in Daredevil in 2003. But anyway, George Miller was supposed to do the Justice League back then, and when people heard about that after Mad Max came out, I remember there being a couple online petitions that didn't get much steam that were begging for George Miller to take over Justice League for Zack Snyder, because Zack Snyder's
I'm sure we could sit and talk about him. But let's move on. Luke, your pick for number 9.
Cool. My pick for number 9 is the Pixar Fair Inside Out.
Really? That low?
I really, really enjoyed it. I've seen it 2 or 3 times since it came out. I enjoyed it. It's a great way to explain to your kids how emotions work.
Yeah,
how you make complicated emotions. The only thing to me that I didn't really enjoy was the inconsistent world building and how depressed it made me feel.
Yeah,
when with a character named Bing Bong. And when you actually think about the 2 parents, how the mother is ruled by sadness and the father is ruled by anger, it's just depressing.
Avery, your pick for number 9.
I'm gonna be lazy again and pick a bad pick, but I'm gonna go with Avengers: Age of Adeline.
Ultron. I wouldn't say it's a bad movie. But
I really, really enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it, but I wouldn't put it as a great movie myself.
I put it as good, not great.
It's not as good as Avengers.
Yeah. The thing that a lot of people I heard complaining about that movie after it came out was that Ultron was a weak villain, or that he was too quippy. But
I didn't mind that.
I didn't mind it at all. But what I was about to get at was that Ultron in the comics was created after Hank Pym's brainwaves. Those of you that don't know, Hank Pym, aka Ant-Man, created Ultron in the comics. So Ultron was created after Hank Pym's brainwaves. So I like to think that if Ultron was created after Tony Stark's brainwaves, that's how he would act.
Right. My only issue with Ultron is I felt that his transition from being born to being evil was a bit rushed. But that was it for me. That was like that was the only flaw I had with him.
Yeah.
Not to be the one who put the film on the list and tear it down, but my main issue with the film, I think, is it feels weird, like the way it structures its action and its plot. Like I told you after we saw it that I feel like you really needed a break in between the factory fight and the Hulkbuster fight because they come right after another. And
Yeah, it's
at the end, you're just
go.
action fatigued.
Right.
And even though those problems, I still think it's a good.
That's
enjoyable
a movie that I'm dying to see the actual director's cut of, because I'm sure that Joss Whedon, if he had been given complete free reign,
he would have released it.
I think he said he's not going to.
He's not going to.
No, he's not.
I want to. I
really want to too, as well. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm sure if he was given free reign, like he was with the first Avengers movie, it would be much higher up on yours and probably be on me and Tom.
Yeah, I feel like there was a scene like when in between the Hulkbuster where you see the Scarlet Witch in Hulk's mind to sort of give you, and it would give you a break.
That's true. Yeah.
She goes over there and cuts straight to the fight. I feel like there should have been a scene there.
But it is a pretty long movie, so I mean they had to cut some things.
And I will say, it was great for what it was because Joss came out and said I had all these guidelines, but all these restrictions. So you know,
but then again,
you got to give the man that.
Then again, that is what, according to Steven Spielberg, that's what makes him the most creative. Is the more restrictions that he has to work around, the more creative he can be with a movie. But then again, Spielberg works in originalities, not adaptations.
Yeah.
So I think with an adaptation it would be really difficult.
But
with restrictions.
He's doing that this year with the BFG.
There's a difference between we can't make the monster work like this because we can't do it in the CGI, and you can't use this character and you can't have this character do this because we're going to use them in a later film. Those are very different restrictions.
Yeah, it is. But anyway, moving on. What's your number 9, Tom?
My pick for number 9 is The Martian. I saw it with my older brother because he had just finished reading the book. It was my birthday, so he took me to go see it. We saw it in this one of those like movie house eateries where we had drinks, and it was awesome. The movie was funny, and because he read the book, and because apparently to him the movie was very close to the book, he was having fun going like, "Oh, that's cool how they put that on the screen," or "Oh, that's a perfect casting choice," and pointing out Sean Bean in the movie. I really did like The Martian. It was very funny because it was one of those things where I almost felt like they could have played it more for drama, but the fact they played it for laughs totally did not bother me. In fact, it made it a better movie. So my pick for number 9 is The Martian.
Yeah, I thought The Martian was a really, really good fare. Probably Matt Damon's best performance that I've seen.
Ever?
Ever. I can't think of a better performance from Matt Damon, personally, given I haven't seen any of the Bourne movies. So throw that in there.
I have a question. Do you think it was the best comedy of 2015?
Yeah, that's the whole Golden Globes thing. How it's nominated for best comedy.
Yeah, that's.
Well, it was definitely one of the funniest movies I've seen this year.
I mean, compared to the rest of the Golden Globe dramatic fare. It's
no kidding.
I guess, but Golden Globes, go home, you're drunk.
Yeah. All right, so moving on. Luke, what's your pick for number 8?
Number 8 is The Martian for me.
No kidding.
Yeah. I also really, really enjoyed it. I thought it's a great message to send to anyone that watches the movie that you don't need brute strength, you don't need brawn to get out of a difficult situation. You just need smarts. You need to science the
out of it, as Matt Damon said in the movie.
And literally does it with his own
yeah,
in the movie.
That is something.
I was surprised with how scientifically accurate it was too. I mean, obviously, we're a long way from getting on Mars, but I'd like to think that if that happens, it's a great way for us to head towards global peace.
Yeah. All right, what about you, Avery? Your pick for number 8?
I'm going to put the Ant-Man as number 8.
Yeah?
To put more of the big blockbusters this year. It's Marvel does good movies.
Yeah.
I feel like that's all you could really say about it. It's a good Marvel movie.
Yeah, but I don't think that the 2 Marvel movies this year were as good as last year's 2 Marvel movies, Guardians and Winter Soldier.
Yeah, those were both tour pieces last year. This year, it was like a big sort of celebration of the end of
Phase 2.
End of Phase 2. But Ant-Man, for me, was the most refreshing movie of the year.
Awesome.
Especially since it's at the end of August. We come off all these blockbusters. all these huge, intense action set pieces. They were all just so small and self-contained.
Mm-hmm.
It was really refreshing.
And I think last year no one expected those movies to be as good as they were because people thought, oh, it's just another Captain America. I didn't like the first one. And
Until the trailer
what
came
is
out.
this Guardians
of the
Galaxy?
I read the comic books. Guardians of the Galaxy is like my team before they came out. So it was so weird. I was the only person who was
Yeah,
so
you were the
excited
only
about
one though.
Yeah, I definitely was. But Tommy, you were going to say something?
I was gonna say we can elaborate on Ant-Man because that is my pick for number 8 as well. When I came home after seeing Ant-Man, like I came home with this sense of, oh, that was really good, and like I said, it was really refreshing because the fact that they keep it small scale, and someone said this on Screen Junkies, how they said, a lot of superhero movies, if you don't do this in 20 minutes, the world will blow up. This one it just takes place in just one city. It doesn't affect the rest of the world if something bad happens. Paul Rudd was like almost a perfect casting choice because he can nail the action and the comedy. He was super funny, and also I think everyone thinks Michael Pena kind of stole that whole movie. That dude is hilarious. I cannot wait to see him in the second movie.
Yeah,
I think the one who stole the movie is Michael Douglas.
Michael Douglas
a
as
lot
well.
of people have been arguing about that. I think I think the person that stole the movie to me is Edgar Wright, just because
he stole it. He wasn't
because he was not a director. But everyone in the back of their mind while watching this movie was like,
Wish Edgar Wright.
what would it be like if Edgar Wright had stuck on?
And you would think Evangelion Lily stole the movie?
No,
Evangeline Lilly.
Evangeline Lilly stole the movie?
No, she was the weakest part of the movie for me, which is tragic because I think she would have been a great character had she been more well written or like I don't know. I mean, she was definitely the weakest part of the movie for me.
But I definitely think she'll get more screen time because the second one is called Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yeah, I would hope. I hope to hell that she is the Wasp.
Yeah.
And they're not going to be like, oh, it takes place in the past.
I hope not too.
Yeah.
All right, so getting number 7. Luke, start us off.
Okay, my number 7 is Welcome to Me.
Well, what is this? I never heard this movie.
I talked to you guys about it the other day when we went to go see The Revenant. But for those listening, it's a Kristen Wiig movie. She's been doing a lot of indie movies ever since she got off of SNL.
More comedy or drama though?
It's an even mix of both, but it leans more towards comedy.
Is it a dark comedy?
Yeah, I would say a little bit, but not to the extent that someone dies.
What's like the basic plot of this movie?
Basically, Kristen Wiig plays this woman who is a little bit crazy. She has, I believe it's borderline personality disorder, and she's seeing her psychiatrist about it. She talks to him about it. She gets a little bit way too into it. And then suddenly she wins the lottery. She gets $86 million, and the government and the state says you can't be on disability anymore, so you're not required. So she's not required to go see a therapist or take her meds. So she gets off her meds, and then she goes to see a taping of an infomercial, and she basically steals the entire infomercial shoot. And then at the end, she decides, I want to have my own TV show, like Oprah. And so she uses a part of her vast fortune, newly accrued fortune, to make a TV show that's super high quality and super just balls to the wall insane. Like, there's even a part where she wants to neuter dogs live on the air.
No kidding.
For example, yeah, it's on Netflix. If you haven't seen it yet, you need to see it.
So what is it about that it makes your top 10?
It's the best character piece I've seen all year that is not a documentary. It is just, it's fantastic. It's funny. It's heartfelt. The performances are great. It makes you value your friendships. It makes you want to be a better person. It's everything that a movie should be. It's the only reason it's not higher is just because the other movies are just honestly better and more impactful to me.
All right, Avery, your pick for number 7.
Inside Out. Most of some recent things he said, I'll just say this is probably the best film Pixar's had in a while. Probably since their sort of their three hit of Toy Story, Wall-E, and Up.
And Up.
Yeah,
and
Up to me before this was the last great one.
Up's still my favorite.
And then we had, and then the last
Monsters University was good.
it was good. I
A
will
lot of
admit that.
people will talk it, but I enjoyed it.
But I will talk Brave though. I really did not like Brave.
I think it's just the trailer was bad. It's like you go see the trailer and then they talk about this
fine for what it is.
Yeah.
Did any of you guys see?
But her mom's a bear.
Yeah. Did any of you guys see the other Pixar movie, The Good Dinosaur? I didn't.
No.
But I heard it was just okay.
I heard it was okay. I've heard it's the worst Pixar movie since Cars 2, which is still not a terrible movie.
No, it's not terrible.
But I mean, Cars 2 is terrible.
Yeah, it is pretty bad.
But yeah, I mean,
I enjoyed Cars 2 somewhat because I enjoy spy movies, and that's just a big play up a spy movie.
To me, it just felt like a really long. Like, you know those shorts they do?
Yeah.
When they deal with their IPs that come before their real movies? It felt like someone made one of those shorts
and
with a spy.
And dragged it out to
and then some executive at Disney was like, oh, this needs to be a whole picture.
No, it's not a good movie. It's just I'm a sucker for decent spy parodies.
And that's fine.
That's totally fine.
I'm a sucker for that movie.
You're welcome.
I mean, heck, this isn't on my list, but there was the Melissa McCarthy movie Spy. It was enjoyable, and it was a sort of a play on those spy movies.
That's an honorable mention for me. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, that's not because I'm more of a sucker of the '60s spy, which is probably where Mission Impossible on my list.
Yes. Yeah. Your turn, Tommy.
Number 7 is Star Wars, and you might be surprised it is that low on my list. But the truth is, when I did this really fast, because that's for me in top 10s, I have to do them really fast. That way, I don't feel as guilty about them. And I just found that I liked 6 other movies I liked more than Star Wars. But of course, Star Wars I freaking love. I saw it 3 times. I think everyone and their mom saw it more than once. And
they must have, according to those box office numbers.
Yeah,
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it has officially surpassed Jurassic World as the highest-grossing film of the year.
I think it's I think it just passed the highest ever. I think it just passed Avatar a couple days ago.
Yeah, I know for a fact it passed the highest domestic gross. I'm not sure about worldwide. But everyone's seen it, and we can talk a lot about it, but I'm sure y'all are going to talk more about it later. So I'll say myself, but I'm just going to say Star Wars, great, number 7.
Yep.
Luke, number 6.
Number 6 is a documentary by Bobcat Goldthwait, who you may know as the crazy guy from Police Academy, or I prefer to know him as one of the best non-Coen Brothers dark comedy directors.
I know where you're going with
this. In
this.
a long time. Call Me Lucky is a documentary about Barry Crimmins, who is a very little-known Boston-based comic. He was the Boston comedy scene for quite some time in the 80s and the 90s there, until I'm not going to spoil the movie. See it for yourself. I'm just going to say it takes a very, very dark turn about an hour in that you will not see coming. And you'll if you don't understand why a documentary about a comedian is number 6 on my list, then you will know after seeing this movie.
I don't want to sound evil, but I'm always kind of fascinated about like the dark side of comedians because they're always funny and laughing, but when you really look at some things, you realize, oh, geez, I can't believe that.
The sad clown is a real thing, man. I mean, if your childhood was anything less than complete then you're probably not going to make it in the comedy industry.
And I think
if you are, you're probably going to get if you did, and if you are, you're probably going to get a 4-picture deal with Netflix. Looking at you, Adam Sandler.
Oh, please.
And he looks perpetually bored in every movie.
Oh, he does. No kidding.
Him and Harrison Ford, man. Except for Star Wars.
Yeah,
Harrison Ford's better at it, though.
Yeah, he brought it back.
At least it plays a curmudgeons.
Avery, your pick for number 6.
Number 6, I'm going to go with Spectre. This is the new Bond. We don't want to talk about spoilers on this, do we? In general,
it's been out since October,
since November.
Yeah, November.
If you want to, go ahead.
No, I'll just say that the spoilers in it play up to my loves as a Bond fan. This would not be on my list if I wasn't a Bond fan. I don't think. But I am, and it sort of panders to me, so that's why it's on my list.
Yeah, we did talk about Spectre being more of a...
You hear that? Movie studios, pandering gets results.
No kidding. And it gets you on your top 10 list.
Oh, yes.
But I was going to say, I think we talked about this. Spectre really did seem like a fan movie, because it had a lot of tie-ins and a lot of lore that really came full circle.
I feel the only issue was the only big issue besides the love interest, which
Yeah.
I have no issue with. Love interests are never should really be a big thing with Bond movies for me. The only big issue for me was the villains. Sorry, Avery.
I feel like the love interest, they play like it's supposed to be a big thing. I feel like the movie thinks I'm supposed to think that she's like Vesper, and I don't.
The thing that got me is that a lot of reviewers on YouTube were picking it apart and saying it's a bad movie. And yeah, I can see why they picked it apart, but I can't look at it and say, well, that makes it a bad movie. I've seen the movie 3 times, and I liked it all 3 times.
Yeah, it's an enjoyable flick. It's not something I put on my top 10, but I understand why you did as a Bond fan.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it, and in the fact that I just started getting into Bond, I found a lot of enjoyment, and plus seeing it with you as a Bond fan, I kind of got a kick out of seeing you get excited about it. So I really did like it. Number 6 for me, I'm going with Love and Mercy. This is the biopic about Brian Wilson. Sort of biopic. It really focuses on 2 parts of his life, and they're played by different actors, Paul Dano and John Cusack, who before this movie I really did not like John Cusack as an actor. I kind of thought he was bland. This movie, he was kind of, his character, Brian Wilson, at that time he was playing him, was kind of bland, kind of like pain behind the eyes, and I thought he really did. Like, this movie really put John Cusack on, okay, this guy has some talent. And as a Beach Boy fan, of course, it pandered to me, but also I tried to step back and say, this is a good movie without me being a Beach Boy buzz. And I would say absolutely, because, not only did they get a lot of things right, like a lot of tidbits where I'm like, yes, they got that right, but also they really delved with a lot of the pain, because people know the Beach Boys music, it's happy, but same thing with Call Me Lucky, that there's some darkness behind Brian, who's the lead singer and songwriter. The only thing I will say is that for me, the ending, the first time I kind of saw it, kind of was like, okay. I've seen it multiple times since then. It doesn't quite bother me, but it still does a little bit. But I thought it was a great character study, and the fact that it's 2 people playing the same character is just phenomenal. And so I had to put it on my list at number 6.
Yep.
All right, moving on, number 5. Luke, what do you got for us?
Dope. This movie came out towards the end of the blockbuster season, I feel like. And it is everything that the title promises it'll be. It is a dope-ass movie. It plays a lot on modern black culture, but it doesn't do it to a pandering degree, and it doesn't do it to a let's scare white people degree or anything like that. It just treats reality as it is, and it gives you an education as to what a black nerd's life is like, which most people don't really know too much about. But Dope is a really, really good movie. It's fun, man. I mean, the twist, not really a twist, but the turn at the end really makes this movie. It's a great character piece. It's a great coming-of-age story. It's just a great movie. It harkens back to John Hughes in a way that I don't think we've seen since ever, really.
I will say with that movie, that movie, for, at least to me, featured a lot of unknown actors. Like, the ones I really knew were Tony Revolori, because he was in Grand Budapest, but and Zoe Kravitz, I knew who she was. But the lead, especially Shameik Moore, I will see that guy in more movies, because I thought he did a fantastic job. Because that's what I love, seeing a cast with the majority are no names, and they blow me away with their performances. Avery, your pick for number 5.
This is when my list becomes a real list at this point.
Okay.
My number 5 is Mad Max.
Yep.
What a movie. That is just a flat out great action movie.
Yep.
In the same way that like Die Hard is, I mean, there's nothing there's no great subtext, but it's just a well made movie.
Oh yeah.
I feel like one of the great things is this has really strong female characters, even though like they're rescuing concubines. I feel like even those characters are strong and they pass. What's the Beckner test?
Yeah, the Bechdel test.
Yeah,
it has to be 2 women talking to each other about something that is not
another man.
That is not a man.
Yeah. It's well paced. Everyone is great. The action, and there's a guy with a guitar. You first you went, why aren't you to that movie?
Doof the Flame Warrior.
You always said, why would you even go see that movie? Because you thought it looked dumb. I want a man on a guitar that shoots fire.
I want a fan film of him and BB-8 just hanging out.
That'd be
The
awesome.
2 best new characters of the year. What's for our new best movie characters?
Yeah, they don't say a single real word, but they're holy.
To be fair to his point, I will say, like, when the trailer came out, I didn't know that Mad Max was a franchise. So when this movie came out, I thought it was another disaster post-apocalyptic movie, and I was like, okay, can someone tell me why everyone's excited for this movie?
Did anyone else seen any other Mad Max films?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
I have not, but I really want to.
haven't.
I have Road Warrior and
That's the second one, right?
yes, Mad Max 1 is admittedly I hate it. Road Warrior is actually genuinely a good movie.
Yeah.
And then there's another movie called Beyond Thunderdome, which is pure
Yeah,
schlock.
that's what I think. Impression I got people talk about it.
Yeah, it's.
Have you seen any?
No, I
of
haven't
those?
seen any other Mad
It's
Max
good.
movies. That's
This
also
is-
why you asked me why I
This
saw
is
it.
without a doubt my favorite Mad Max movie.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are saying that people are also calling it possibly the best action movie of this decade so far.
I would disagree, if only because of the Raid 2 and John Wick.
I think it could make
I really
a
want
top
to see
10
both of
list,
those.
I have John Wick.
though. It is one of the best. It could make a top 5 or a top 10 list, though.
For sure. Okay, my pick for number 5 is Carol. Have you guys heard of this movie?
Yes, I have. That's the movie. It takes place. It's a period piece about 2 lesbians, right?
Yeah, 2 lesbians got
I
Kate,
have not seen it yet, but
Kate-
it's on my to watch list.
Kate Blanchett and Rooney Mara. And it is sort of a study about 2 people. They really don't know who they love. I mean, Rooney Mara's in a relationship with this guy, and he definitely loves her more than she loves him. And Kate Blanchett's about to go through a divorce, so they're really kind of finding new things about themselves. They meet each other, and then they sort of find things about themselves with the other person, if that makes sense. And it's very, I was really affected the whole time. My thing with the top 10 list, I had to make sure I felt something the entire time. Not, I was a little bit bored. I was never bored by Carol. I felt like it tugged on my heartstrings. It was really emotional, and the fact that it doesn't do what the Imitation Game did, where it's like, this is wrong, it's against the law. It's really just like in the eyes of your family, your friends, not the government.
I heard it was it didn't really focus on the gay thing. It was just a love story about 2 people who happen to be women. That's what I heard about it.
It's a beautiful love story, and as a music nerd, because it's a period piece, has a great soundtrack to it.
Yeah.
So Carol's my pick for number 5.
Cool.
So moving on, number 4, Luke, start us off.
I've been raving about this movie ever since I saw it way back in January of last year. What We Do in the Shadows, the best comedy of 2015. Hands down.
And the best rated comedy according to Rotten Tomatoes.
I don't doubt it, man. This is a movie that was made in New Zealand, by New Zealand. Those of you that are fans of Flight of the Conchords, same people, yo. It's a mockumentary about a house with 4 vampires living in it that just hang out. It's just about them hanging out, getting ready for this big party called the I think it's the Undead Masquerade, Unholy Masquerade. It's just so funny, especially after all this bullshit like Twilight and Dracula Untold and all these terrible vampire and werewolf tropes. It's fantastic. I was in love with it from the minute that Reese Darby was yelling that they're werewolves, not swearwolves. Because one of the werewolves said the word.
Oh, wow. All right, well, I'll definitely have to check that movie out.
You're gonna have to, man. It's perfect.
All right, Avery, your pick for number 4.
My number 4 is Love and Mercy. I'm a big Brian Wilson fan. I wrote a paper about him when I was a kid. I actually, even though that, I went into some with low expectations. I thought the trailer looked artsy and dumb.
Yeah.
And I kind of have a high expectation that anything that's not the Smile documentary is not going to be as good, but this film is really good.
I will say to your point, the trailer really didn't give a lot away, but also gave some things that you didn't need to know.
Well, I thought it made it feel like it made me feel like I'm not there, which I actually like. But it felt like it was this artsy look. There's 2 different people playing Brian Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think it's that movie at all. I think it's actually it's kind of a really sweet love story, at least for half of it.
It is, and also showed that Elizabeth Banks isn't just a pretty face. She also actually.
I like Elizabeth Banks now. I think when we realized I like Elizabeth Banks, it's got some. I love the dining.
The restaurant scene where
the diner scene, and you're looking at the mirrors.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say that.
It's got some great shots. Paul Giamatti's a real good villain.
I forgot to mention him. Yeah, he's terrifying.
But even though he plays someone who's the real world and he's ruled and he's super like unlikable evil, I feel like I still understand his motivations. I feel like he grounds what could be a cartoony villain.
And that's the best kind of villains, the ones where you actually get behind and go, yeah, that makes sense. Of course, it's wrong, but if you see it from their point of view, it's like, yeah, that's the right thing to do.
I'm gonna have to check out that movie.
It's just a flat out good. It's a flat out great movie. It's probably one of the better biopics.
Also, I got a good question. What do you think about Paul Dano? Because he also looked a lot like a young Brian Wilson.
He did. I liked him, but I feel like I liked the other guy better.
John Cusack.
Yeah.
I kind of have to admit, even though he wasn't my favorite, I thought he gave a bit more dramatic. Not saying Paul Dano's bad. He's nominated for
Also,
Golden
I
Globe.
think this film's far more about the John Cusack path than it is. I feel like the Paul Dano stuff's a backdrop. It's all the
Pet sounds.
Beach Boys to Smile.
Right.
But the film's really about this period in the Jack Cusack.
Mm-hmm. And I will say I watched it with my dad, and all the segments where they're making the Pet Sounds album. My dad was fascinated by it because he had no idea how it was all made or how Good Vibrations came about.
I feel like it plays a little bit. I mean, you know more about it, but I feel like it does play a little bit liberally. But I'm not fine with that.
And
it takes some dramatic licenses, which is fine.
Which is fine, and you were fine with like all the little Beach Boy tidbits in there, like little things where it's like if you're a fan, then you know about this.
Well, I mean, I sort of knew the general story.
Oh, okay.
Of that half. I remember I told you I actually knew absolutely nothing about about who Paul Giamatti was playing. I didn't know about that period in his life. I just knew about the Smile period. I didn't know this period with this doctor and Paul Giamatti.
Sorry, yeah.
So I didn't even know he was a villain at first.
Those of you listening should also probably see this movie to understand what the they're talking about.
Don't worry. Yeah, we all mentioned movies on our list, but I don't think any was.
I should be more careful with spoilers, but it's a real life thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, my pick for number 4 is Room, not The Room. Is Room.
I've been dying to see Room.
It's still playing.
It looks so good.
It's still playing at the Angelica in Dallas.
Yeah.
Room is it's a small film. It stars Brie Larson, who's mainly been known for supporting roles in like 21 Jump Street, Community, Don John. But
she was also in United States of Terror on Showtime, which I really liked.
But in this movie, she really, she is the lead. Aside from her son, she really impressed me. The basic premise of the movie is that
she wasn't in Community. Actually, that's Allison Brie.
Yeah, but she also played.
She played
Abed's girlfriend for a few episodes.
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt.
No, that's fine.
That's
fine.
Yeah.
And the basic premise of this movie is that when she's a teenager, she gets kidnapped by this guy and put in a basically like a shed. Kind of keeps her as her little sex slave, and she has a child within this room. And basically, they have to grow up within this one space. So the child he's 5 years old when the movie begins. So like this room is all he knows. Like he doesn't think there's an outside world. In fact, there's a great scene where she tells him about the outside world. That's all I'll say. And it's an escape story. And I will say this, if you haven't seen it, don't watch the trailer, because the trailer does spoil a bit of things in the movie that I think you don't need to know until you've actually seen it. But Room, the reason why it's number 4 on my list is that it is emotional. It really touched me at the end. I wanted to, go home and give my family a big hug, because it also deals with the idea of being family. And it really touched me. It's one of those things where it's so touching. I don't think I can see it again, but I can still acknowledge it. It's such a great film. So that's why I put it as high as number 4.
Cool.
All right, Luke, get us going, and with number 3.
Okay, my number 3 pick is Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl.
I have seen this one.
Yeah. This is a movie, for those who don't know, about a boy and his, I guess, casual best friend. They're not really,
but he calls them coworker.
Yeah, they're not actively like romancing. They're quote unquote coworkers.
Yeah.
This is a guy who's just trying to survive through high school. It's a coming of age story, which I'm a sucker for, and it's got, without a doubt, the most likable cast and the most realistic portrayal of what growing up is like these days, and also one of the most tragic friendships I've ever seen put to films, and it's perhaps Fox and the Hound.
Yeah.
It's just, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it really resonated with me. And, there's also some really great metaphors in the movie. Like he talks about how if you're an average boy and a hot girl, then you're an ant and she's a rhino or something like that. Like you're always going to get stepped on.
I could relate to the character very easily. Yes.
Like the metaphors he sets up in the movie, when you actually take a second, you're like, you know what? He's right. The movie has some really smart script writing, and I really dug the movie too. All right, Avery, your pick for number 3.
My number 3 is Ex Machina.
Cool.
That high, really?
Yes, I really like
I've
this
heard
film.
people put it at number 1.
Yeah. Maybe because I'm not as familiar with some of the things that you said that were influences, so I did not see, this is taking this and this and this.
Yeah.
But I like the characters, and I feel like another film I'm going to put on this list. I feel like I was just watching these characters, wondering what each's one real motivation was, and wondering what they would do next.
Yeah.
I feel like there's still a lot of suspense in this film.
Yeah, that's definitely something that I enjoyed about it.
And I loved the ending, and it made me. It makes me wonder about, because again, I was like really into the characters and like what all these characters were thinking and why they did what they did at the end. Not to spoil. I don't want to go into spoilers.
Yeah.
Honestly, the less you know about this film before you go in, the better. I think.
Yeah.
I barely knew anything. All I knew is it had something to do with artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
That's all I knew. And when I watched
Spoilers.
Okay, it's in the trailer, and
I'm joking.
it's on
the poster.
and it's on the Blu-ray cover too.
That could just be a weird hat.
The thing I will say.
and weird sleeves that make it look like you have wires.
Oh my god, that is okay. There's a scene. I won't spoil it, but I'll just say this: one character does something to his body. That's all I'll say, and I'm sure you guys know it's gonna. It creeped me out, but then again, it was supposed to.
Yeah.
But I kind of went just like, ugh.
Yeah.
It's just.
What's his name is real great.
It's really good.
Donald Gleason, Oscar Isaac, Lisa Vikander.
It's a three-hander, and all three of them are real good.
It pretty much is a
good.
3-person movie.
It's really, really good, but it's like I said before, the only issue I had with it was it treads on some mildly familiar territory. It's still really great, though. Definitely one of the best movies of the year.
I remember I watched it shortly after watching The Imitation Game, and like they do talk about Alan Turing in that movie and how you differentiate between a man and a machine. And I remember thinking, if you're really into science, then I think you're really going to dig Ex Machina because it really delves into not just
not as much as you might like The Martian, though.
Right, but I'm saying like Ex Machina deals with like geek science, but also deals with like human thoughts.
I will say
what makes us human different than a machine.
It deals more in the philosophy side of science than it
Bingo.
does in that's more it's in the Martian versus the Martian. I think deals in like practical
science.
applications.
Yes.
All right, my pick for number 3. I know you've talked about this movie, but my number 3 is Black Mass. Now the reason I know you didn't particularly care for the movie,
Nope.
and I know some people, some reviews I read online, people said, well, I didn't feel that emotionally attached. I've seen the movie twice, and I will make a strong disagreement. I thought it was a fantastic movie. Johnny Depp completely vanished. I really was invested in all of the characters. Even Adam Scott really surprised me. He doesn't have a big role in this movie, but he usually kind of plays like the snarky asshole, and he kind of is to an extent in this movie, but for what he did, I thought he did a great job.
Yeah.
It was a really investing story. Like, I wasn't just waiting for Johnny Depp to say the next, insult or, to smack someone or,
It seemed the issue I had with the movie was it was just a little too unfocused, and they took the morally justifiable thing with his character, and I understand that's how it was in real life. They just threw it away, like a quarter of the way into the movie. It's hard to talk about without spoiling it. I know what happened in real life, but still, I did think it was a good movie. It wasn't great.
Are you saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, are you saying because it's a movie they could have taken some dramatic licenses
I feel like
and actually made it better for you? I'm curious.
It would have made it better for me because the first quarter of this movie was 10 times more interesting when Johnny Depp's character had something to lose. When he just doesn't have anything to lose, it's him running around doing whatever the he wants. Just harassing people, killing people, whatever. Who cares? And it made me very difficult to feel emotionally attached to the character with that.
I will say this on a funny note. The second time I saw it, I took my dad because it takes place in Boston, which is where he was born, and he's been there a few times. The movie takes place in South Boston. My dad was born in North Boston, and I asked, and when we walked out, the first thing my dad said, and that is why we never went to South Boston. So, he really enjoyed the movie, and I've enjoyed it, and I was so I was emotionally invested, and that's why I put it as high as number 3.
Yeah.
All right, Luca, let's do this and give us your pick for number 2.
Mad Max Fury Road. This is where I put it. This is...
You almost had a number 1, though.
Almost number 1. This movie is the perfect movie in terms of plot, storytelling, shot composition, everything. The only reason it's not number 1 for me is because there's another movie that I just enjoyed more, flat out.
Yeah, sure.
I only...
Paul Blart, Mall Cops.
Oh, totally.
You know it, man. No,
Kevin James making fat jokes every 2 seconds?
Oh, yeah.
He's on a Segway,
No,
dude.
dude,
Falls.
That's
hilarious.
It's actually number 1's actually ridiculous 6 because Donkey Diary is hilarious.
Yeah, and what's his name plays a Mexican?
Yeah, Rob Schneider.
Yeah, he's Mexican, great Mexican.
And did you know that Kevin James is fat? I just want to let you know that.
Yeah, and he falls and he gets hit by the car, and it's funny because he's fat.
But anyway, Mad Max, what more about it does make it a perfect movie for you?
No, I mean, just in a time where action movies just got dumber and dumber and dumber and dumber, encapsulating with Die Hard 5, there was, I feel, a resurgence with the international release of the Raid 2, where action just suddenly got really f***ing good again. After that, there was John Wick, and now there's this. This is, if you like car action or Demolition Derby or whatever, this is the movie for you to masturbate to. Like, you're not gonna find any better action with cars than in this movie. Speed, the original Speed.
Yeah, not Speed 2.
Not Cruise Control. I was about to say, but yeah, Speed can go suck a dick compared to Mad Max Fury Road. The only issue that I had with it, though, was there were a lot of times where punches were thrown, and I did not feel those punches. But again, it's a perfect movie in terms of storytelling.
I will add this. Someone
action.
Someone said this on Screen Junkies, and I so agree with them. They said the one thing that Mad Max doesn't have that most other action films don't was that, say, the scene where Max is trying to fire and Furious just grabs his gun and starts shooting, and then any other action film that would have been played for comedy would be like, see, I told you I could shoot, I'm a girl.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact they didn't do that really helped. It played as one of those badass moments, not just badass and, oh, we're going to make a little quip out of it, too. It was just badass, okay, it was done, move on.
Also, she's a robot arm. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, the robot arm was badass.
Yeah, no kidding.
That's what I call method acting.
Mm.
And Tom Hardy has apparently signed up for, I think, 2 or 3 more Mad Max movies.
Yeah. But
not Charlie's, I don't think, has
Charlie's there, which is weird because George Miller says if he was going to do a Fury Road sequel, he would do it about Charlize Theron's character, Furiosa.
I'd watch it.
She feels like the main character than...
Yeah, no, Mad Max is just... In all the Mad Max movies, Max is just like a set piece for the most part. I feel like in Road Warrior and Thunderdome, it's less so, but he's more just a character for the audience to attach to as he tours us on this crazy landscape that is his world.
As someone who has seen all of them, do you find it in any way jarring that he is now Tom Hardy?
No.
Okay,
No,
I was just
not
curious.
at all. No, I mean, Max never really talks. I mean, it's not really...
Not just in this movie, in really all the movies.
In all of them. I feel like the one where he had the most lines was Road Warrior, and even then it was only like 50 lines.
Yeah, and it's true. In this one, all you get is water, or whatever. All right,
It was
Avery,
mostly grunts. Yeah.
your pick for number 2.
My number 2 is the Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens. What a good movie. I think as I told you when we left the movie, Star Wars is good again, isn't it?
Yeah, no kidding. I think that's the first thing that on everyone's mind when they walk out of it. And as I said, and I think again, as was said on Screen Junkies, it really also enticed me to the fact that if the next theater was playing Episode 8, I would have walked right into that one to see it too.
Mm-hmm.
It really, because I'm a casual Star Wars fan, meaning I like just the movies. I don't particularly care to watch any of the TV shows or read the expanded universe. I really just focus on the films that are canon. And I do agree. I thought this one really, re-energized it. I thought J.J. Abrams did a fantastic job. And it does seem like they're doing what they did with the original trilogy. That each movie is gonna have a different director. What is his name?
Ryan Johnson.
Ryan Johnson, who did Looper, is coming for episode 8. I haven't seen Looper, but when I have seen it, I think that'll be a good choice.
He also did a lot of really good episodes of Breaking Bad.
Okay, well then there you go.
Although the episodes of TV shows may not necessarily be the most indicating thing, like with what's his name, the Game of Thrones guy who wanted to do Thor.
Kenneth Branagh.
No. What's his name? I'm blanking on his name. The guy who did number 2.
Oh, Thor 2. I don't remember who directed that.
I feel like
one.
Dark World's problems were with its script, not its direction.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Avery, what else did you like about Star Wars to put it at number 2?
It was just really satisfying. It's hard to know what else to say without going into spoilers, and I still don't want to go into spoilers for this
Okay.
yet. But it's just, and I am I'm not a hardcore fan, but I do watch the TV shows. I'm a somewhat fan. Somewhat hardcore, I guess. I don't know.
I think the thing for me is that I've seen people who are already posting videos about, 5 plot holes in Force Awakens, or, things that don't make sense in Force Awakens. And my thing is this: we got 2 more movies come out. We have yet to see the big picture.
But what we have to consider then is, like, should we allow that just because it's Star Wars? I mean, should we allow an incomplete story or incomplete characters because it's Star Wars? Or should we expect more, and should we expect a complete story in one movie? The answer is yes and no.
Yeah, I agree.
I think for the most part, this is still a pretty complete story.
Oh, yeah.
It sets up a
Yes.
sequel, but I feel like it does.
But it does have
story.
I think it does have a
I'll
story
also
arc.
say Star Wars has played fast and loose with science for a long since the beginning.
Oh, no one gives a about the
Yeah,
science
even
of
the
Star
prequels,
Wars.
like the prequels, they go through the planet core to get to the other side of the planet. In
Yeah.
the prequels, they've always played fast and loose with science.
Dude,
the
he
Star
made
Killer,
the Kessel Run in less than 12 parsecs.
yeah, the Star Killer race makes no sense, but that's fine.
Right.
What else was I thinking? I like that there's mystery in Star Wars again, because the prequels never had any mystery.
That's a good point.
I feel like also you give this film credit because the prequels did this and this wrong. Okay, this isn't doing this and this wrong. Yay!
Yeah, Star Wars Episode 7 really did a lot of things where, like, I didn't question it, but it wasn't a bad thing. I was like, well, where did this character come from, or things like that. Like, there was a lot of mystery for me. I do like what you said there.
I feel like, even though I didn't do it consciously, I feel like I did someone walking on this, like, in the Star prequels, they automatically get rid of all tension. When, like, they'll say, like, it shouldn't be a problem. Like, when Darth Maul comes in, they say it won't be a problem.
Yeah, attention's just gone.
It never does that. In fact, it works really hard to put in tension. Like when they get on that starship in the beginning, you automatically find out there's a safety rope attached to it and they can't leave, and they're just trying to bang in to get out.
Yeah.
Or Rey has never flown the Millennium Falcon. So there's
Spoilers for a movie that you've probably seen 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, no kidding.
Okay, these are all at the very beginning though. You can put a warning.
Yeah.
Or like when in the Millennium Falcon scene, Rey's never flown it. She's like she's going down. She's all wobbly because she doesn't know what she's doing.
Right.
There's tension put in there that isn't in the. I love it for a lot of reasons.
Only big problem that I had with the movie. I really, really enjoyed it. I feel like I keep bringing up problems I have with movies, but that's just because these movies are so good, and I feel that we need to bring up the worst in movies.
And that's fine. Like
Sometimes.
Like, you can have a problem, but you can't say it's a bad movie because of it.
It's a good movie. Only problem I had with it was Rey is a total Mary Sue.
Mary Sue.
Totally. Mary Sue is a character brought up in fiction where it's just this character that comes in and they're perfect at everything.
Yeah, I know, but I'll say that
Yeah.
she's not at least a Mary Sue in the sexual way, which you often see female characters are.
What?
Like in that they're used to sort of like, oh, I love this woman's the.
Yeah, but that's not a Mary Sue.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying that she's like, ooh, look at my butt. Yeah.
This is something you see in a lot of films, and you even see it in like Star Wars.
You've even seen it in Batman Superman, like, ooh, Wonder Woman's got some Mary Sue is just a character that is like perfect at everything
You want to live vicariously
real
through.
for no real reason. Yeah. It's like a stand-in character for the author. Like if J.J. Abrams was
Fan fiction's filled with these.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Yes.
Well, my pick number 2, I really kind of flip-flop number 1, but this is what I'm going for right now. My pick number 2 is Quentin Tarantino's The Hateful Eight. My God, did I love this movie. I've seen it twice, and I saw the 70mm with you. I saw it regular. I still loved it both times, and it's one of those things where, like, I've seen this movie, like, it's been a week, and I'm still thinking about this movie. I'm thinking about the dialogue in this movie. I'm thinking about the action. I'm thinking about, the plot twists or, where it goes. I freaking loved this movie, and I really. There really isn't any much I could say that without going really into it, but we still have one more round to go. So I was going to say Hateful Eight. I freaking loved it. I can't wait to pick it up on Blu-ray and watch it. So, gentlemen, let's give our number one picks. Luke, we'll start with you.
Let's do honorable mentions first.
Oh yeah, honorable mentions. Okay, Luke, some movies you want to rattle off for honorable mentions.
Cool. Wild Tales. It's a vignette movie from Venezuela about revenge. Really good. Check it out. Kingsman: The Secret Service. Another spy movie.
That would have been on my list too, but I think that film sort of shits the bed in the second half of the movie.
I didn't think so.
I disagree.
Yeah.
Spy, which we talked about before. Star Wars, which y'all just got done talking about for 15 minutes.
Oh, that was an honorable mention for you? Okay.
Yes. Steve Jobs.
Great
I
biopic.
wonder if
really
we had the
good.
same number one then.
The Gift.
Really, that surprised me.
By it. I was really surprised by it. The Revenant, which we saw a few days ago. It's not as good as
I think it's a little overhyped.
Yeah, I think it's overhyped, and it's just it's way too pretentious with some of its subject matter. And The Overnight, which is a comedy with Adam Scott and Jason Schwartzman and the girl from Orange Is the New Black. Really f***ing funny.
Really?
Yeah, if you're into LA-based comedy or making fun of artsy-fartsy people, you need to see it. It's hilarious.
Okay. Avery, do you have any honorable mentions?
The only one I would have mentioned that I mentioned it was in his list and I mentioned it, so
Was
we're good.
Kingsman?
Yeah.
Okay. Honorable mentions for me. Kingsman almost made the list. It would have been number 11. Fantastic spy movie. I'm just going to rattle off a few movies that either I enjoyed or I acknowledge that are good, even though I didn't really enjoy them as much as other people. Goosebumps. Really enjoyed the heck out of Goosebumps. Bridge of Spies. Steve Jobs. The Walk, which you and I saw together. The Revenant. Let's see what else. I'll go ahead and put Age of Ultron as an honorable mention. I thought it was good. Wouldn't have been in my top 10. I don't really can think of any. I'm sure I'm missing some, but I can't think of anything. So, gentlemen, shall we get to it? Our pick for number one.
Cool. Mine is The Hateful Eight. I'm sure y'all were already guessing that.
I kind of guessed it.
Holy shit! I'm a big Tarantino fan.
Pick your favorite director right now, right?
Yes, not right now, like of all time right now. But yeah, he knows how to do dialogue right. He knows how to do characters right. The plot in this is simple enough to work.
It's basically an Agatha Christie mystery. It's a locker
I've
room
not
mystery.
read an Agatha Christie book.
She's famous for locker room mysteries.
Yeah.
You have all your characters set up fairly early on.
Yeah.
And they're all in the locker room trying to figure out the kind
But
of.
what I like about this movie is that just about every character goes through an arc where you think about them in a different light than when you at the end of the movie than when you first saw them at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, there's definitely more flaws in it than there are in Fury Road, but I just enjoyed it.
It's not just a
that much
locker
more.
room mystery. They literally nail a door shut.
Yeah, many times with different pieces of wood. Avery, you're laughing, so I got a pretty good feeling what your number one pick is.
My number one is Paul Blart. Well, I'm just kidding. It's The Hateful Eight.
Yeah.
The one thing you didn't mention I want to mention is suspense. I think that's probably one of the biggest things.
Yeah,
A
you mean the tension?
Yeah, the tension and I think there's suspense too. I mentioned it with Ex Machina. You're looking at every character, wondering what their true motives are.
Yeah, someone mentioned somewhere, I forget where, that Tarantino does with dialogue what Hitchcock did with silence, which is where he's able to build tension and make you wait for that pin to drop just by people bullshitting with one another.
That's what he was saying. Like in the first
Yeah.
half, like you were just waiting for someone to shoot someone, but not in a desperate way. Just be like, oh my gosh, it's gonna hit the fan any second.
Yeah.
Because like if you want to compare action, the second half is definitely better, but the first action just grips you with the dialogue and makes it entertaining on its own.
I feel like it feels like it's a standoff, even when no one's pointing their guns at each other.
Mm-hmm.
Like even when they're sitting on the couch talking, I feel like
I
they're in
don't
a
feel
standoff.
any malice when they first arrive at the cabin, but I do feel a certain aura of distrust.
Yes.
I don't feel any tension until the first person dies.
And I will say this because
I think maybe it's just I was just super like, I felt tension the whole way through.
And I will say this, I mentioned this to him, like, when people ask me to sum up the plot of this movie, I don't want to say it's 8 strangers locked in a cabin, because in a way, they all know each other, or they know something about each other. So the fact that I can't call them 8 strangers, because the fact that they're not makes it more interesting to me, because, like, this person knows him because they fought in a battle together, or he knew his son, or whatever.
I think I even felt tension in the cabin. What's it called? The cabin?
You mean the carriage, or
the carriage? I think I even felt tension then. That's why I felt tension when I went to the house. I also said that this film is nearly 3 hours long, and I don't think it feels like it.
No, not at all. And we even saw
unlike the Revenant.
Yeah, and we even saw the roadshow where it was longer. It was longer.
I saw the special 70mm roadshow production
with the overture and intermission. But even with the intermission, it still didn't feel long to me. I felt like I could have kept watching it.
The voiceover that happens in the second half,
he laughed.
I think it feels a little goofy. I don't know how she do that, but I think it felt a little goofy.
That was Tarantino's voice.
Yes, I did.
Yeah,
that's part of the reason I felt goofy.
And then my pick for number 1, you all already touched on it. Like I said, number 2 and 1 flip-flop. My number 1 is Inside Out, because I just very slightly enjoyed it a little bit more than Hateful Eight. But Inside Out, I really just, like, tugging my heartstrings. I know we talked about this before, but I really...
Who's your friend who likes to play
Bing Bong, Bing Bong? Yeah, all right. Well, that's my number 1. So that's my list. Those are our lists. Great conversations.
Going into it, I know you made a video, Tommy, but I think it'd be great if we talk about our number 1 movie going into 2016. What's our favorite? Looking forward to it. Most anticipated, I guess.
I have 2 because I mentioned them in my video, is Hail Caesar and Civil War. If I had to pick between those 2, I would say Civil War.
Yeah.
I guess it's Cap 3.
Yeah. It's
I mean, I don't know a lot about Rogue One.
Yeah, well, I don't think any of us really know.
Oh, I know about. I know what it is.
I know it's the plan to steal the Death Star.
Yeah.
Plans. It's for.
We're going to see many Bothans die in this movie.
It's the plans for the original Death Star, New Hope Death Star, right?
Yes. Yeah. It takes place between 3 and 4.
Yeah.
But yeah, my number 1 going into it is without a doubt
Hail Caesar.
Hail Caesar. Yep.
Yeah, it just looks so much fun. I was just at the movies and I saw that trailer playing, and I just like that. It looks so much fun. Just give it to me right now.
What else do we know that's coming out this year, though?
This year, let's see. We have Deadpool,
which is my number 2.
That looks good.
Fool for the pool.
I hate Deadpool, and that looks good.
We've got a few more superheroes. We got Doctor Strange in November. I don't know much about this, but I'm anticipating it.
It's basically like gets weird.
The images I've seen with Benedict Cumberbatch, it's like, wow, he looks freaking badass.
At this point, just kind of have a blank stamp of faith in whatever Marvel does at this point.
Yep.
And we also have a Suicide Squad coming out.
I do not have any faith in DC.
We got Dawn of Justice. I'm somewhat interested in Suicide Squad. I'm very worried about Dawn of Justice.
I just don't have any particular... there's reasons I have faith in Marvel.
We have the new Ninja Turtles movie, Ninja Turtles 2.
Which he said the trailer doesn't look
surprisingly good.
I'm cautiously optimistic going into this.
I'll still wait for a review to see.
Yeah, I'm very cautiously optimistic just because I love Bebop and Rocksteady so much. And the Krang is supposed to be in it. Krang!
And we also got some Return to Childhood. We got Finding Dory in the summer, which of course I'm looking forward to.
We got the X-Men. Apocalypse is this year, isn't it?
X-Men Apocalypse is this year.
With Oscar Isaac.
With Oscar Isaac and the First Class
is Gambit
cast.
This year?
What?
Gambit? No,
yeah,
I think
that's Gambit. I think they got pushed back to 2017.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, 2017 we're getting 3 MCU Marvel movies in 2017. We're getting Spider-Man, Guardians, and I think Thor. I don't remember.
Yeah,
I think Thor got pushed for Spider-Man.
I think
it did just a little bit.
Okay.
But it's still coming out that year.
Yeah, actually, it's Black Panther is next year.
That's right. Black Panther, Guardians, and Spider-Man.
If they can find a director for it. They've been looking for 8 months for a director.
And
their first pick was the director of Selma. That was announced right after Selma came out.
That is wrong a little bit.
I loved Selma though.
No, I like Selma, but I'm saying
that was last.
2014. She
right?
said no.
Yeah.
She said no.
Late 2014, wide release, or early 2015.
Okay, otherwise that would have been
so
on my list.
If you wanted to count a wide release, you could have counted that.
And now they're courting the director of Creed.
That was one thing I want to say. Like, I should have prefaced this by saying I didn't get to see all the movies. I saw a bunch of top 10 lists, and Creed did make it. I have yet to see it,
I saw Creed. I thought it was really good, but
not top 10 worthy.
not for me. Just because the love story to me was just so terrible and so tacked on, and such a big part of the movie that I could not justify putting it on my top 10 when all these other movies I just enjoyed entirely.
Are there any, for lack of a better word, indie films we know that are supposed to be coming out? That are excited?
Anomalisa just came out.
Yeah, that's the claymation movie, right?
Very excited.
When I
to see it.
indie, I'd even count Hell Caesar. I mean that's not Marvel, DC, superhero
Disney.
It's
space.
not a franchise.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't hear too much about those just because there's no news about them.
Yeah, that's why I think our lists are going to be dominated by blockbusters just by default.
For anticipated, yeah. But,
Alright.
yeah, those are mine.
I thought it was another one like Cases that I told you looked really cool, but I can't remember what it was now for the life of me.
I can't remember what it would be either.
So I feel like there was something else that was in the front of Hateful Eight and The Revenant that I thought looked really cool, but I can't remember what it was.
6 listeners, comment below what movie you think he's talking about.
Yeah, and also comment below. Let us know what about
Mall Cop 3.
3. Yeah, please. And also comment below and let us know what are your picks for your top 10 movies or your favorite movie of this year or anything below. Just comment below. And I want to thank Luke for joining me.
Yep.
And Avery
Thanks
as
for
well.
having me.
Oh, what'd you think of that Western with Natalie Portman?
Jane Got a Gun.
Yeah.
They're definitely taking the Aerosmith title on this one.
Okay.
No, I thought it was Jamie's Got a Gun.
Yeah, oh, that's right. It's the movie's called Jane Got a Gun. That's the first thing I thought was is Jamie's Got a Gun by Aerosmith. Doesn't look interesting to me, but it could be good.
I thought it was weird that it came out around the same time as The Revenant and Hateful Eight. Just because it's sort of like we've sort of seen like a Western come back. I don't think it'll look good. That wasn't what I was talking about.
Well, hopefully we'll get to do this again once 2016 is gone and we get another year of movies. So, again, Luke, thanks for joining me.
Oh, yeah.
And thank you, Avery.
Thank you.
And I will see you all in my next video.
Be seeing you.